President Donald Trump has once again intensified pressure on Iran, signaling that diplomacy is still possible, but only from a position of overwhelming strength. As tensions rise in the Middle East, the White House appears to be competing with Israeli leadership, particularly Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in shaping the next phase of confrontation with Tehran. Iran recently announced its willingness to strike a deal, but U.S. officials remain deeply skeptical. According to sources close to the administration, Washington believes Tehran is negotiating out of desperation rather than sincerity. President Trump himself warned that America is prepared to use its full military power if necessary, stating that a massive U.S. naval flotilla, including an aircraft carrier strike group, has been positioned to apply direct pressure on Iran. Following recent operations that reportedly crippled key nuclear facilities, the Iranian regime is believed to be significantly weakened. Analysts suggest that this has pushed the leadership into a defensive and increasingly brutal posture. Reports from the ground indicate harsh crackdowns, executions of wounded individuals, and violent retaliation against dissent, actions that reflect a regime under extreme stress. Many U.S. security experts argue that Iran's leadership has a long history of deception. They point to decades of alleged lies, hidden nuclear activity, and refusal to allow transparent international inspections. Even as Iran's currency collapses and public unrest grows, critics say the ruling elite continues to prioritize survival through force rather than reform. The core question now facing Washington is this: if Iran cannot be trusted, what does the endgame look like? Some voices within conservative policy circles believe the only lasting solution is the complete dismantling of the current regime. They argue that as long as Iran's military, intelligence services, and clerical leadership remain intact, the threat will persist, not just to the Middle East, but potentially to Europe and global stability. Supporters of this view claim that removing the regime could reshape the region entirely. They describe Iran's leadership as openly hostile to America, Israel, free markets, and even its own people. According to this perspective, the Iranian diaspora could play a key role in financing and supporting a post-regime transition, if change comes from within. However, others warn that Iran is not an easy comparison to past cases like Venezuela. Unlike regimes that collapse quickly due to lack of popular support, Iran reportedly has a hardcore base, estimated at 5 to 10% of the population, deeply committed to ideological jihadism and willing to fight to the death. This fanaticism, experts argue, makes internal revolution far more complex. Another major obstacle is simple but decisive. The regime controls the weapons. Protest movements may exist, but without arms, their ability to overthrow a militarized state remains limited. This reality raises serious doubts about whether change can occur without external force. When President Trump speaks of a deal, analysts say it may not mean traditional negotiations. Instead, it could be an ultimatum: leave power peacefully and survive, or face removal by force. Some reports even suggest internal fractures, with rumors of top leaders seeking refuge abroad. But Iran remains, above all, a military-run state. As the world watches closely, one thing is clear: the situation is approaching a critical point. Whether through diplomacy, pressure, or direct confrontation, the future of Iran's regime and the balance of power in the Middle East may soon be decided.